doing is exactly what I need to do. Just get frustrated with we've established that you're not like the other women. So when you behave in a manner that is synonymous with normal women, that's what bothers me. I don't want to see us go down that path. We don't have to go that way. We already know it's down those roads. So there's no reason for us to turn left and turn right. We can just go straight past them and keep going. That's how I got to be the person that I am. Instead of entertaining, oh, I should go drink because I've been told that it's fun. I'm going to ignore all of the evidence of the side effects. I'm just going to go entertain the idea that I'm somehow different from the rest of humanity and engage in the behavior that I have seen the negative aspects of. That's the part of our relationship outside of my 2 cents in general that I want to avoid. And I know that you're capable of avoiding that. So when we're having a discussion and I speak to you on that level and then you default to a normal primitive response, that bothers you. So that's what you can do to help me. Don't entertain those energies that we don't need to entertain. Because we don't need to entertain. Just, be humble and respectful of those things, And I'm gonna keep my honor and not go back to the whole cell phone thing with the lizard thing because I'm not gonna deal with that. But there's a reason why. See, there's reasoning behind everything that happens, and there's reasoning behind why that occurred. And I'm not going to go there. I have enough evidence within my own character to allow her to be right in her position. But there's one part of that whole story that she misses because she's testing my spirit. So there's one whole condition that exists that she's not consciously aware of because that's what it means to be human. That's how we are. Like, we have to go through the motions. The first time I was homeless, and I really, this guides my relationship with Vanessa because when I was homeless the first time, I was sleeping outside in the rain in the tent under trees. I found a really comfortable place for me. And there was a thunderstorm, and I live in Vancouver, so when it rains, I call it Forrest Gump rain. And so I was woken up by lightning, thunder and lightning, literal thunder and lightning woke me up. So I jumped up in my little tent, started getting my clothes and stuff together, and I was going to run out of the tent because I didn't want to get hit. I didn't want to get struck by lightning by being in a tree. So I'm physically afraid for my life right now. And I'm like, okay, I need to get away from this tree so that I won't get electrocuted. And then as my brain started going through motions, and I was just like, well, okay. So we had a technical difficulty. So the video quality has severely changed, which is probably better for my complexion and all this static and stuff. The snow is probably nice. But I was explaining about the nature of being a human being. So when I was homeless, I was sleeping in a tent. And we live in Vancouver, so it was raining obviously, and it was raining really hard. I call it Forrest Gump rain. So it's like, when he was in the water and it's talking about how the rain was coming up from underneath them because it's so bad. That's the kind of rain that we were in, that I was experiencing at this moment. So during this rain, and I was asleep in my tent under a tree, just kind of have my little sanctuary or whatever. It was a thunderstorm that occurred while I was asleep. So I woke up in the middle of the night and I'm like afraid of all this thunder and lightning. So I grab all my stuff so that I can escape from under this tree because I didn't want to be struck by lightning. The chance of being hit by a lightning bolt is higher when you're under a tree than it is when you're not. That's what we've been taught. So I'm afraid, running around, scrambling, getting all my stuff together so I can escape from under this tree. And in the process, I started rationalizing the reality, like, if I leave from under this tree, I'm going to go out into the rain. I don't have nowhere to go. So at this moment, I have to decide, do I want to be comfortable under a tree, or do I want to be comfortable in the rain, where the chances of me getting struck won't change? I've only believed that I'm more likely to get struck by lightning under a tree because I was taught that. There's no evidence. It's just I was just taught that you're more likely to get struck under a tree than you're under rain. So with all of that understanding, and as I started coming to a place of more stability, I decided that it's better to just stay under the tree where I was comfortable because, like I said before, squirrels live in trees, and they don't get struck. So with that reasoning, I understood I needed to just stay where I am. But humans we have to go through the motions. We have to evaluate things and generate an emotional response before a logical response. I remember probably one of the most profound moments within the same context. I was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I was cooking food, and there's a character, Giles. He went into this house. They showed these antagonist characters come into this area and murder all these people, and so Giles, one of the main characters, he comes into the same building, and he's walking around trying to figure out what's going on, and he goes and reaches for his friend, and his friend's on the floor dead, and then the antagonist behind him has an axe swinging it toward out Giles' head, and then the scene cuts out. Well, what was interesting or fascinating was when I was watching Buffy, I was like, oh, I need to go get my food. So I'm watching the show, and then I'm like, wanting to go get food, but my brain is like, oh man, Giles is gonna die. And so it's like, at that moment, I was more concerned about my food than Giles dying. And it was interesting because I realized that we literally process emotions faster than we process thought. Because I felt something faster than I realized I needed to get food. Even though I was responding to the food in that situation, I was still emotionally I wasn't sad about my food burning. I was sad about Giles about to get all murdered up. So it's really an interesting paradigm when you're going through, the whole logic of being a human being. So that's pretty much the whole rant right now. So I don't know what else to add. So I'm gonna stop talking. So as always, my name is Paul Emerson, and that is my 2 cents.